republished for the event. They're in this book now in a more permanent format, plus some of the stories we wrote about the event. The story by Asa Payne. He wrote that in 1913.
Some people have money and some people don't. Some people pay taxes and some people won't. I've got money but it's already spent. Oh my soul to the 1%. You work 25 years and what do you get? A little pink slip and a mountain of debt. They took my insurance and they took my keys, and those job creators sent my job overseas. I was born to a family that was once middle class. That trickle down theory cut us off at the pass. They said it come quickly, but I'm waiting still. If the right wing don't take it, then the left wing will. You work 25 years, and what do you get? A little pink slip and a mountain of debt. My kids can't go to college and they won't get too far, 'cause all of us are sleeping in the family car. I live in a country that has always been fair. We get Social Security and we get Medicare, but I won't sit around at the end of the day while the Wall Street boys steal my 401k. You work 25 years, and what do you get? A little pink slip and a mountain of debt. My congressman called me, has me climbing the wall. He interrupted my nap for a robocall.
It started in St. Louis a few weeks beforehand.
Well, you see me coming, you better step aside. A voter ID and I got my pride. Obama and Romney, if you don't repent, I'll vote for Ron Paul for president.
Soldiers didn't last very long. I think the Boonvillians call it a battle. We'll sometimes argue with it. That people argue that the Battle of Carthage wasn't a battle. So. But ended up, Nathaniel Lyon got held up there at Boonville by a lack of, he didn't have any here. I'm going to take it. His supply train was hijacked by his own supply officer in St. Louis. It was an odd situation where there was a schism within there was a clash within the Union Army itself, and a clash of wills who would control the Union Army. So Nathaniel Lyon was held up. You had Franz Sigel coming around to try to, the original plan was for there to be a pincher movement. Franz Siegel's 1,100 troops, Nathaniel Lyon's army, trapping the Missouri State Guard somewhere before they could meet up with the Confederate Army. Please correct me if I mess anything up.
Great, I'm not going to be corrected.
This guy knows more about, he's written, we've got an author in the audience here. Steve Cottrell's written about the Battle of Carthage himself.
And I forgot a lot of stuff too.
But anyway, that was the original plan. You had a pincher movement. They were going to destroy the Missouri State Guard and capture the legislature and capture the governor before they got a chance to meet up with the Confederate Army in Arkansas. Well, Franz Sigel managed to complete his part of the pincher movement, and he's in Carthage on July 4th, 1861. The Missouri State Guard is camped up by Lamar on that day. Franz Sigel, however, is a little further behind. He's behind. He's still up close to Boonville and has lost track of the State Guard. So when Franz Sigel marches out of Carthage, spends the night over by the spring. What was the name of that spring? What was it called back then? Carter Spring. Spent the night over there until that night, July 4th, and then he marches north. It's interesting to imagine the physical exertion that these soldiers had to go through. You think about it from the Union point of view. They get up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning to prepare to break their camp, and then prepare to march to meet the Missouri State Guard in battle. You've had skirmishers, you've had scouts from both sides who've met in the area between Carthage and Lamar, so the two sides know that each side is there, and they know there's going to be a battle on July 5th. So the Missouri State, like I said, are the Sigel's Union Army, 1,100 soldiers. They break camp, march north, and march 9 miles. I mean, if you can imagine marching with full packs, 100 to 150 pounds of equipment on your back, 9 miles, before noon.
And this all took place in the summer, right?
All took place in the hottest part of the summer. I mean, this was a hot day. This was, every bit as hot as some of the days we've had this year. I don't know if it was in the hundreds or not. I don't know that anybody had a thermometer, but it was hot. And you're wearing these woolen uniforms, jackets, full jackets. You're in full uniform, and you're marching 9 miles north of town. And in front of you, in front of Colonel Sigel, 6,000 soldiers. He's got 1,100. He's got 1,100 men. 4 pieces of artillery?
Well, they had 8.
8?
And the Missouri State Guard had 7.
Gotcha. 8 pieces of artillery, State Guard. They formed a line on the ridge. I don't know if you ever drive up Civil War Road to Baseline Road, you're looking at the place where it all started. You had the State Guard on the hillside that's still there. The what's the name of the owners of the farm?
Oh, Gresham.
Gresham
the
farm.
family still owns it. Same family.
Same
family.
family.
Still owns the farm.
Family?
Yes, the Gresham family.
The Gresham family.
That was their farm then, and it's still their farm. Yes.
Still their farm. Gresham
They're very
family.
proud of that.
Yep. You had the Missouri State Guard, 6,000 soldiers on the hillside. You can see the hill; it's still there. You had the tree. There was a tree line down the hill from that, and that's still there. We think that was where the Union set up their first line. There's about a half a mile between the two, maybe close to a mile, but close enough they could see each other. And that's where the battle starts. It starts out as an artillery duel. Artillery on both sides firing away. Not a lot of casualties in this battle. About 50 killed, Total on
you
both
know,
sides?
It all differs, but, you know, estimate 50 total killed, 150 wounded perhaps,
Yeah.
if you believe the larger figures.
The,
Of course, that'd make giant headlines nowadays.
Exactly,
It happened in
that's
Afghanistan. I mean,
And it
headlines
did.
yesterday when 2 were killed.
And it did make giant headlines. In this book, one of the stories you find in this book is the New York Times account of this battle that calls this a great battle. This was, you know, before the Battle of Bull Run, which happened about 3 weeks later. This was the first fight. This was the big fight. We were, all of a sudden, both sides were shooting at each other, not just, you know, groups of hooligans, army soldiers. So they start the fighting there, but Sigel notices that his line is not nearly as long as Claiborne Fox Jackson's line, and he's in danger of being enveloped. And this was the big danger at this point. 1,100 soldiers versus 6,000. It's not generally good odds for any army, even if, in the case of this set action, where 2,000 of the Missouri State Guard didn't have guns, they weren't armed. Of course, Franz Sigel doesn't know that. He knows he's faced with 6,000 soldiers, and he's got to protect his supply train, a number of wagons that are trailing behind him, and he's got to extricate his command from the generals, commanders. It's one of their worst nightmares. You generally expect that your command is going to be destroyed and everybody's going to be killed and captured in a situation like this. But he managed to fight a fighting retreat. You'll notice on Civil War Road, if you drive up there, there are 3 stones on Civil War Road. There's one at the corner, at the intersection of Baseline and Civil War Road. It's used to have, I think it used to have, and you can tell where it's been scraped off. Steve knows the story, but it used to have a number 1 on it. It's been scraped off though. But that's the first marker. It kind of looks a little like a gravestone. And then you come back to Dry Fork Creek, right? The bridge of Dry Fork Creek. There's a stone there. That one does have a number 2 on it. Does it say battle? It says Battle of Carthage.
It says line of battle, July 5th. They all say line of battle, and then it says the date, and then it says number such and such.
And then there's a third one. It's kind of hard to see because it's kind of in with it's at the top of the hill on Francis Street, the corner of I think it's Juniper and Francis Street. There's a third one there that marks a third line of battle, where each one of these places are places where Franz Sigel's troops set up and fought delaying actions to allow their supply train to keep going south without being captured. He had to delay